Good afternoon. We're going to look at questions 7 and 8 from today's lab. Question 7 says, gaseous hydrogen chloride reacts with gaseous ammonium to produce solid ammonium chloride. So if we look at first, we have hydrogen chloride. We know that hydrogen has a +1 charge. We know that chloride has a -1 charge. So if we're putting those two ions together, we get the chemical formula HCl. And we're going to add that together with ammonia. Now we know that ammonium is NH4 plus 1, but ammonia doesn't have that extra hydrogen, so it's NH3. And this is producing ammonium, NH4, chloride. Now we know that NH4 has a +1 charge. We know that chloride has a -1 charge. So the formula of them together is NH4Cl. So now let's look at counting our reactants and products and making sure that we have our equation balanced. So we're going to start out with our nitrogen, then look at our chlorine, and then look at the hydrogen. So if we look at nitrogen, we have 1 nitrogen on the reactant side, we have 1 nitrogen on the product side. For chlorine, we have 1 chlorine on the reactant side, and we have 1 chlorine on the product side. If we look at the hydrogen, we have 1 hydrogen here, and we have 3 hydrogen here, so that's 4, and then we have 4 hydrogens on that side. So 4 hydrogens on both sides. So this chemical equation is actually balanced without changing any of the coefficients, as long as you have the correct chemical formulas. So let's look at example number 8. Here we have copper 2 sulfide and nitric acid produce copper 2 sulfate, water, and nitrogen dioxide. So if I think about copper 2, we know copper has a +2 charge. We know that sulfide has a -2 charge. So if I put those two ions together, I get copper 2 sulfide. And it's reacting with nitric acid. Now we know that nitric acid is coming from our nitrate ion, and acid means that I have a hydrogen attached, so I have hydrogen plus my nitrate ion, which has a -1 charge. Hydrogen has a +1, nitrogen has a -1, so together we have HNO3 from nitric acid, and that is yielding copper 2 sulfate. So I'm going to think about those ions. We have copper 2, and then I have sulfate, which is S4. That's a -2 charge. S looks more like an S. So because this has a +2 charge and that has a -2 charge, we put those two ions together like this. Copper 2 sulfates. CuSO4, because we only need one of each of those ions. And then we know water is H2O. And then nitrogen dioxide. Di means that I have 2 of the oxide ions, so I'm going to have nitrogen and dioxide. Now I need to look at all of the different atoms that I'm dealing with on my reactants and products side. So we're going to the reactants and the products. First we're going to look at our metals. We have copper. And we're going to look at our non-metals. We have the sulfur, we have the nitrogen, and then we have hydrogen and oxygen. So let's first look at the copper. Look on this side, we have 1 copper. If we look on that side, we have 1 copper. If we look at the sulfur, we have 1 sulfur on that side. We have 1 sulfur on that side. Now let's look at the nitrogen. We have 1 nitrogen there. Here we also have 1 nitrogen. Now let's look at our hydrogen. Here I have only 1 hydrogen, but here I have 2 hydrogen. So I'm going to put 1 there and 2 there. So I need to balance out my hydrogens. So the thing I'm going to do is actually put a 2 in front of that. So now I have 2 hydrogens, but that also changes the number of nitrogens I have to 2. So because I changed my number of nitrogens, now I need to look over here at my nitrogens. I'm going to put 2 in front of that. So now I have my nitrogens balanced. Nothing else changed with my hydrogens. I still have 2. Now let's look at our oxygens. If I look at this side, I have 2 times 3, which gives me 6 oxygens. If we look at this side, we have 4, and then we have 1, and then we have 4 more, which if I do 4 plus 1 plus 4, it's going to give us 9. So we don't have the right number of oxygens. So let's go back and let's get our oxygens balanced. So I'm going to erase that 2 because I need to change the number of oxygens I have. So I'm going to put a 3 in front of this. So now I'm going to have 9 oxygens, but it also changes my hydrogens. Now I have 3 hydrogens, and I also have 3 nitrogens. So let's go over here and change our nitrogens first because it was higher up on the list. So if I look at this, I'm going to change that to 3. So now I have 3 nitrogens. And if I look at my hydrogens, I don't have those balanced. But I need to be able to get 3 hydrogens, and here they only come in multiples of 2, so that's not going to work. Let's look at changing this coefficient to 4. So if I erase that. Change that to 4. I'm also going to have to change this nitrogen to 4, so I have the nitrogens balanced out. So let's erase this. And put 4 nitrogens over there. So right now I have 4 hydrogens on that side. I need to have 4 hydrogens here, so I'm going to change that to a 4. I also have 4 nitrogens on that side, and I have 4 nitrogens on that side. So let's see if our oxygen's balanced. Here I have 4 times 3, which will give me 12. And here I have 4 plus 2, which is giving me 6 plus 8, which is giving me 14. 14 oxygens. Something has gone wrong. Let's see how we can change the number of oxygens. Because we know our multiples of hydrogens have to go up by 2. And that is stuck at 4. Well, sulfate. Not sulfite. How can we get 2 more oxygens without changing? Well, if I put 2 in front of this, and 2 in front of this, and I have 2 coppers, 2 coppers, and 2 sulfurs, 2 sulfurs, and I have still have 4 nitrogens right now, and I have 4 hydrogens, and I have more than 14 oxygens. So let's look at how many oxygen we have. We have 8 oxygen, 9, 10, plus 10 plus 8 would be 18. We have 18 oxygen, but we don't have 18 over here. We need to change that number to be able to get 18. That would have to be a 6. But that's going to change. change this to a 6. So now we have 6 hydrogen, which means we need to change that to a 3. So now my hydrogens are balancing out again. 6 and 6. But now let's look at the oxygen. I have 18 oxygen on that side. But over here I'm going to have 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. Plus another 8 would be 19. I'm not sure this one works out at all. We have copper 2 sulfide. Nitric acid. Copper 2 sulfate plus water and nitrogen dioxide. I think I'm missing something, and I don't see it. 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 3 is 19, and there's no way we can get 19 oxygen this side, because the oxygens have to be in multiples of 3. I think I'm going to skip that one until I can think about it